Today, I have the great pleasure of speaking with Moon Civetz. Moon is the Vice President Global Sales for the Maverick Helicopter Group. And he's somebody that I've known for years, and I'm sure that if you've been to a trade show in our industry, you've met him as well. And it's fascinating to hear his journey and also the unique experiences he has created for his customer. And get ready to hear about a yoga helicopter, which I've never heard of before. Enjoy our conversation. Welcome to a new episode of the Business of Meeting podcast. And today I'm extremely happy to speak with somebody that everybody knows. Anybody who's been to a trade show in our industry knows him, and he knows everyone. He is present all the time in all those trade shows, selling for as Vice President Global Sales from Maverick Aviation Group. But more importantly, he is the kindest person I know. He has a tremendous experience in our industry, and I can't wait to discover what is the life and journey of Moon Civetz. Moon, how are you?
I'm doing very well. You're very kind, Eric.
Well, it's you're one of those person that I know for years that is always smiling, always ready to help, always available, and creating unique experiences for everyone in this industry. So before we get into what you've been creating for this industry and the most memorable experience that you can share, I'd like to understand a little bit more about you. Who is Moon Civetz? What's your background? What's your journey?
Well, I guess you can say I lived in Hawaiian Islands, and I ended up being the head designer for a theme party production company. And as the convention industry grew in the islands, our company grew. And then I kind of branched off and started a little lighting company called Moonlights.
Yeah.
And then that morphed into a party company called Moonlight and Magic. And, we do lighting and parties for incentive groups. And I did some lighting for some rock and roll. And I also got involved in the Hawaiian Renaissance music, and which was fascinating, especially for being the howly guy, but I really enjoyed it. I did a lot of lighting for some very, what came to be well-known Hawaiian groups. And then Sheraton Hotels in Hawaii asked me to join them, and I became the director of special events for Sheraton Hotels in Hawaii. Oh, wow. What that meant was I opened hotels and on the outer islands, and I created a theme event just for that hotel. And I opened the Sheraton Royal Waikoloa, and then I went to Kauai and opened the Sheraton Kauai and Princeville twice because of hurricanes. And but for each destination, I had a party I created. Well, then that, as far as the whole Sheraton Hotels in Hawaii, we decided, I put together a book called Splash. Now listen carefully, it's Splash. Spectacular Parties Live at Sheraton, Hawaii.
Wow.
And in this little manual, I made it kind of like a toolkit for incentive houses or people wanting to do things. And it had the different parties at each hotel. And it was enjoyable. I really did enjoy that part of it. And a little sidetrack, everyone goes to a luau in Hawaii. And so I wanted to do something for those people who have been to the islands, but I don't want to do the luau again. So at the Sheraton Royal Waikoloa Hotel, I created a party called the Shipwreck Party. And I had the captain come out and talk about his sails in Tahiti and on his way from Fiji to Tahiti to Bora Bora. And they did the indicative dances and ended up in Hawaii with then, of course, all the beautiful maids. And I needed a shipwreck. Huh. So I went down to Kauai Harbor and I saw this one boat in this guy's yard, this huge boat. And he happened to be the harbor master. And I said, you ever think of selling it? Because it really was beat up. It would never float. He goes, yeah. I said, okay. Came to an agreement. 2 cases of beer, and I got his boat. So we moved the boat all the way over to the shipwreck area where we threw the party, and only to find out my general manager said, "Hey, what's this bill for $2,000?" I went, "Oh, I guess that was the shipping from Kauai Harbor to Waikoloa."
Oh, wow.
I thought it was 2 cases of beer. I thought he did a good job. So anyway, I then opened the Moana Hotel, reopened it, and which was quite interesting. I was living on Kauai, so I'd fly over on Monday and then go back home on Friday. And during that time, I got to actually stay in the hotel as they were remodeling and rebuilding it. And I got to go to the catacombs down below where Matson used to store everything and where they had the original silverware from the Moana back in the early 1900s. It was really great. And then they asked me to go to the Sheraton El Conquistador in Tucson, and I never really thought
that's a change.
Yeah, I didn't think I was going to ever live on the mainland, but I went there and I went, it's kind of neat. You could be a cowboy, and the people there were so nice. Did that, and I got them opened that hotel, got them in the incentive industry, and then that director of sales moved to Hawaii and brought me with him to open the Orchid at Maunalani, which was the old Ritz Maunalani, rebranded by Sheraton to the Orchid at Maunalani. And I did that and got that going. I, of course, created a theme party for that property as well and changed some. There was an area behind the tennis court that nobody used. It's a big grass area. So I said, well, let's make this into a plantation. And we became the Plantation Gardens. From there, Mark Heinzelman, who was the general manager of the Hyatt Kauai, he called me one day and said, "Hey, Moon, you're always stealing my incentive business. I'm going to be opening the Hyatt Lake Las Vegas. You want to join me?" And I don't know how he heard about it, but my parents had retired here in Las Vegas. And we were kind of looking to move in this area because they were having some health problems. So I said, "Okay, Mark, let's go open a hotel," which was pretty tough because here you have Hyatt Lake Las Vegas. Nobody knows what Lake Las Vegas is. Oh, is that someplace by the Strip? And being then away from the Strip, you kind of go, why would I go there? Well, you could have a really great meeting there. And as it turned out, it was quite exciting. We got an award as the first hotel, as the best hotel for the incentive business for the first year we were open, which was just outstanding. And I did that for a while. And then Station Casinos was building a place called Green Valley Ranch. Their first entry into a resort type property. They convinced me to join them and open that property, which was, I'd never been in a casino operated hotel before or owned by a casino company, which was a complete change in thinking. But I enjoyed that. Then a friend of mine convinced me to leave there after a couple of years, and I was at a DMC. I was the vice president, general manager of DMC, and did that for a while. And in fact, the president and I would kind of butt heads at times because I kept saying, we really can't be a DMC, destination management company. You don't manage a company. We should be a DFC, a destination fulfillment company, because we fulfill the client's needs. He kept saying, no, nobody would know what it is. And I said, well, how about if we say DFC, a damn fine company? Would you go for that? But no, he didn't want to do that. And then Maverick came along. I had always used Maverick as a supplier. And I was sitting down with some guys and having a couple of beers. And they said, hey, we're looking for somebody to do this and this and this. You know anyone? I went, yeah, no. I said, but I could do this and that and that. And they said, yeah, okay. So I created the group department for Maverick and started off with just me and the sales team. And we had 2 other salespeople, and we just kind of slowly kept growing. Became Maverick Aviation Group. And unfortunately, since COVID, we're now just Maverick Helicopters. We had to scale some things back because of the tough situations. But it's looking bright now. It's coming back. We fingers crossed, and all the reports and during all this time, I joined Sight, which was a big blessing because you can go to those meetings and find out that what you are feeling is true, and other people are thinking the same thing. And
absolutely,
Sight was probably the best organization I've ever been in. I've been in MPI and a couple other ones, but wow, I've been with Sight over 30 years.
Yeah, that's what I saw on your LinkedIn. So over 30 years member. It's amazing.
Yeah, it was tough in the islands getting to the meetings because when you finally go on a sales trip, you were gone 2, maybe even 3 weeks because you had to maximize your dollars getting across the water and then to all the places. So I always tried to coordinate that with a site meeting so I could stay in contact with my friends. It's a super organization, and I've enjoyed watching it grow. I've enjoyed being a board member for the SoCal chapter, and it's a great organization.
Well, it speaks volume to again being a volunteer in an organization. And I remember the first time I went to Hawaii was actually an MPI conference, and I extended it to and I stayed in Kauai at the Princeville Resort.
Oh, isn't that a great place?
Oh, that was phenomenal. I remember being in the jacuzzi with my wife, looking at the mountain and having this, what was it called? Lava flow. I think some kind of strawberry pina colada, which I love. And the helicopter tour was phenomenal. And then I'd like to have you share some of the greatest experience you've created, because I had my own corporate event company when I was back in Belgium, and the first name of my company was Ins and Type, which in French and Dutch would read incentive. That's what I was doing, incentive trip all over the world. And I must say that helicopters, whether it was in Champagne and going to the Abbaye d'Auvillers, where Dom Perignon used to live, or it was anywhere in the world where you can remember flying over Istanbul during an inspection. But I always never forgot my first helicopter flight. I was a student. I was with ISEC, the student organization that is all over the world, student business. And I was in Buenos Aires in Argentina for a cooperation program. And then I took a weekend to go to Iguazu Falls. And there I saw helicopter tour, and I saw the price, and I said, oh my God, no. And then I thought, yeah, but when am I going to be here again in the future? And so I went to it, and I remember sitting next to the pilot, and you start and you go on the land, and then you really dive into the falls. It was just phenomenal. I had still goosebumps thinking about it.
Were you terrified when he did that?
I'm afraid to say no, but I'm a little cuckoo. I love doing bungee jump on the bridge in Zimbabwe as well. But it was not terrifying. It was exhilarating. That's really the word. I just love it.
Yeah.
So what are the top stories that you can share with us that can inspire anybody who's doing an incentive trip for the future?
I feel like I'm the luckiest guy in the world, really, because when you watch people come back, the smiles on their face, it says it all. I've been able to do some things where we land in the bottom of the Grand Canyon, and we actually have set up a lunch. Now, this landing zone, there's no road to get there. It's isolated. The only way to get there is via a helicopter. So we had to bring in all the tables. The tables were specially constructed so they'd fit within the helicopter. We actually had to bring in a portable toilet that was made. It's kind of looked like, the old outhouse with the moon on it, but it was tucked off over here if people needed to use it. You can't have any fires. So everything had to be prepared, kept warm in these huge warming blanket things. But it was great. It was just super. Champagne, and the staff was all black and white. I mean, that was wonderful. And being the only helicopter company allowed to fly into the Las Vegas Motor Speedway means that for the races we fly there, we can also go there and do a tour of the Grand Canyon and then stop. And then if you want to do some fast laps on the track around there, you can get one of the companies to help you do that. That's always fun. And we have a thing called Heli Yoga where we land on the highest peak in the Valley of Fire and we do a yoga class. It's private, it's quiet. You can see the cars and people down below, but you can't hear them. It's great. And then we touch of champagne after, and we just added a new one because everyone says Red Rock Canyon, what else can we do? What else can we do? We now have an excursion that goes out and you fly over Red Rock Canyon and the gorgeous colors out there. And then we have a private landing zone up high. So you sit there, sun goes down behind you, and all the lights of the city start coming on. And you watch Las Vegas come alive at night. And then we fly down to the Strip and all the way up the Strip. Because, we're the only company on the Strip. So you get that whole experience.
Oh, yeah, I remember doing that. It's just phenomenal when you see all those hotels, all the lights coming down. I remember one thing I did in Zimbabwe. It was with a company in the music industry. The commercial director was actually a veteran, and his customer knew about it. And one day the last day said, tomorrow morning, you're going to have a drop off. And he goes, what is it? We're going to drop you in the bush. You're going to walk for 30 minutes for the first clue and have to answer 3 or 4 clues. And you'll be back at the hotel in 2 hours. If you cannot find all the answers, here's an emergency number. And they were like, what? And those were his top clients. And so we played a game, and the first morning, a Jeep was there. The first group of 4 people, we took them away. And when we were at Elephant Hills, Victoria Falls, and when they were out of sight, we asked them to get out of the Jeep. They almost were ready to salute. And then my client looked at his client, and said, ladies and gentlemen, there is no drop-off. You're not going to walk. You're about to fly over Victoria Falls. And I put them in the helicopter, and they were turning there and happy not to have to walk, but more importantly, this absolutely spectacular.
Yeah, I mean, and one thing about Maverick is that we're the world's safest. I mean, and the things we do to ensure that, and the pilots we hire. I mean, it's not a thrill ride. It's an enjoyable flight. I mean, you've been in helicopters, right? How they just hover and they just float. It's an amazing experience.
You should be in sales.
Yeah, I should. I'm always looking for the next new chapter, new experience, something where I can keep being creative and making people happy. I mean, that's what I enjoy most is being able to do that.
It tells a lot. Now, Moon, you've been in our industry for quite a while. You've seen it from the hotel side. You've seen it in the island and mainland. Yep. You're now with obviously in the center of what is happening with Maverick, but also in Las Vegas. What do you think has dramatically changed in our industry looking forward? And what do you think will actually come back and is not going to change?
What won't change is the one-on-one meetings, people to people. What a stroke of genius and a lot of luck that the folks at IMEX America, the program that's usually in October for this year had to be delayed to November. And with that extra time, they're still able to have that conference. And I'm excited about it. I'm excited to see my friends, see you, see everybody. Yeah. We may not be able to do the hugs, but we certainly give an elbow bump, and a tap is, I don't think that'll ever change. I feel we need to keep eye contact, one-on-one, and what do you want? I mean, I've told people before, even if it's not helicopter related and you have a question about Las Vegas or Hawaii or wherever, I can help you out. Let me help you. And I don't think it'll change. I think technology will keep increasing and that'll grow, but I think people are Zoomed out, they're webinared out, and I realize that that was good. We had to do that. That's how we stayed connected.
Yep.
But I deeply believe that we need the one-on-ones, and we need to talk to people. What is it you want? How can we make this happen? What's your pipe dream? And let's see how we can get there. Maybe not quite there, but maybe we can do this to make that work and still give that impact. So take them in the helicopter over the falls, not walk,
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. One of my friends also was on the podcast earlier on, Richard Kane, created this company called Verijet. And he's using the Cirrus Vision Jet, a big fleet there now in East Coast and West Coast in the US and expanding. And one thing that I was absolutely stunned, beside the fact that this plane has a parachute, which obviously cannot be the case with a helicopter, but they have this thing called safe return. So if you're a passenger, you push the button. If God forbid something happened with the pilot, you push the button, and the plane, it's taken over by technology. They locate the closest airport. They reach out to the airport. They let the passenger know how many minutes we're going to land, and that they just land the plane. So that's amazing technology. What do you see coming up in terms of technology, whether it is for helicopter or that you see people are using more and more that we should pay attention to?
For us, it's GPS, because we now have all of our helicopters with the GPS system, so we can track and know where they are all the time. And that's been a big plus. God forbid something would happen, we know we can pinpoint exactly where they've landed. And one thing about helicopters that people may not know is if you lose power, you still can float down. And our pilots, every 6 months, they go out to this small little airport south of town, and they'll be flying, and then they cut the power and they hover on down and land. So, a lot of people think, oh my God, power goes out, you're done. No, it's not true.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. It's an experience. If sometime you're out in Las Vegas, you want to take a ride in a helicopter, when they cut the power, for me, I only did it once.
And you're still here to tell.
Yeah, I don't know about technology. Because everything's so surprising. Every time you turn around, there's something new. There's that new thing that Facebook is doing with the visuals now, and that new company they're creating, where if you and I can talk like this, but you'll see all my Hawaiian artifacts. You'll see everything around here, and I can see everything around you. Or for meetings, you can write notes. And it's years ago, I remember as a kid, what was it? Dick Tracy had the radio watch.
Yeah.
And now our phones are not really phones. They're everything but a phone.
It's true. Absolutely true.
Yeah.
And so you also, and I'm sure that for you, it was something special. You also opened in Hawaii.
Yeah. 5 years ago, we opened on Maui. We're at the Kahului Airport. And a year or so after that, we opened on Kauai. And of course, we're Maverick. We do things a little bit different. On Maui, we're the only company that can land in the Hana rainforest. So when you're flying, the movie Jurassic Park, the first one, when you fly into the valley and you cross that little island and then fly into the valley, that was filmed on Maui. That is where we fly over Jurassic Rock and then up into the valley, and then we land. And what was at one time an old terraform that we're rebuilding. And you got the waterfalls around you. You got a creek next to you. Mm-hmm. Nobody else does that. We can give you an experience here. You can go ahead and have a wedding there, which would be really cool. Or you could go ahead and bring a group in with several different helicopters. Go ahead and have your guy sitting there playing the ukulele. Have people showing you, here's how you make taro. And then as we cleared the land, we discovered a small little heiau. And so you can walk back and see that. You can see the creek that comes by. It's just a great place for a nice private party. Then get in your helicopter, fly along the coastline. You can see Jaws, where in the wintertime, right now, they're having 40-foot surf. And Ho'okipa, that's the place where you see all the windsurfers. That's Ho'okipa. And it's just crazy.
And this place where you land, is it safe? There's no dinosaurs?
We keep them out with a barbed wire. It's an electric fence.
But what you were mentioning about the helicopter yoga, never heard that.
Yeah, it's something they came up with, and it works really well for groups, because what the leader does, everybody gets a headset. So, and you're laying on these mats on top of this high butte, and he has music, and then with a microphone, he talks to you, say, do this, stretch that shit, and he can see who's really good at it. And he can go, no, Moon, I said both feet down, Hey, Eric, you got to lift your okoli, and he'll gear it for those people who've never really done yoga to enjoy it. And for those who are really good, he adds things to it. So it's about not quite an hour. And the only way you can get there is via helicopter. And there's only room for 3. So It's a small group. And then afterwards, and he's packing up, we have a little champagne toast, and you fly back. It's at the Valley of Fire, so the colors there are amazing. And then you fly back, and you go past the Las Vegas Motor Speedway, Nellis Air Force Base, and of course the Strip and up.
It's phenomenal.
Yeah.
What is new in Vegas? What you hear now? You have the Raiders, a new stadium, Allegiant Stadium. What's coming in the next year?
We have the big Sphere, which it's a humongous ball. I forget it, 150, 200 feet tall. It's huge. And the whole outside of it is going to be video screens, and it's made for concerts. It's supposed to have the world's most perfect sound, and you will get your top name acts at that. I just read an article today where they're going to be building another hotel. And when you all kind of thought Resorts World was, well, that'll be it for a while, there's another one going north of that.
Amazing.
It's expanding. The boring company that for the convention center that has the people mover and the Teslas underground, they've just gotten the rights to go throughout the city now. It'll take a while. But there'll be the underground transportation to various places, Allegiant Stadium and T-Mobile Arena, and the major hotels will have stations.
Wow.
So I mean, it's always changing. When I got here many years ago, it was kind of like, well, yeah, this is pretty neat. Now it's just huge. Where Maverick is, we're over by the Welcome to Las Vegas sign.
Yeah.
That was about it. Then further down the road was Mandalay Bay, but it's creeping up. There's another hotel going up just adjacent. If you go from our place, then there's Signature, a wedding chapel, and now there's going to be a new hotel there on the airport side of the Strip before you get to what's an empty lot currently opposite Mandalay Bay. It's always expanding, always changing. There's a indoor aquarium swim with the fish in a mall that just opened. I mean, so you can go ahead and swim with manta rays while your wife's shopping or something. I don't know. It's
wow. Now you've been a member of Sight for many years,
right?
And you like creating experiences, which I think it's phenomenal. What are the top stories, top experience that you've heard of, not specifically in Vegas or not specifically in the US, that you thought, you know what, if I had a group, if I want to create an incentive trip, in other words, something that people cannot duplicate, something that people cannot put a price on, and something that people will not be able to experience again if they come with their friends or their families. What is the experience you heard about that say, oh my God, I wish I could do that?
It seems like, I mean, every year we have an awards for the best trip, the best incentive, the most creative, and there's always something that just makes you go, wow. And I think it's those personal experiences in a small group where you get to go into a castle, or you get to go walk on frozen rivers in ice caves. I'm an old spelunker. I really enjoyed hiking on the Big Island and going into the lava tubes. I helped a friend of mine write a book about petroglyphs, and we just went all around the islands. But doing experiences like that where I can't think of one right off the top of my head, but I know I saw some people camping in Iceland.
Yeah.
Which to me is kind of strange. Iceland is green and Greenland's covered with ice. I mean, who named it?
Yeah, exactly. The land of ice and fire.
Yeah.
Yeah, you remind me of an inspection trip I did with a client there. And the day before we arrived, it snowed. And so we were going into a huge valley. And at the end of the valley was the place where we're bringing the 200 people later on. And we were really two cars going like two step, a little bit forward, backward. Everything was white. There was no track, nothing. It was phenomenal. And in the middle of it, we stopped and an helicopter came, landed by us, which obviously we had planned. We get into the helicopter with my client, and we went to do a touchdown on Eyjafjallajökull, the volcano that had erupted a few months before and actually closed the airspace in Europe. And then we went down. It was a pilot who was from the army originally. We went really, I have to, you know what? I'm going to try to find this movie to show it to you the next time we see each other. We were really flying into the ice. The part of the mountain that were really put in ice. We're going left and right, and it was just phenomenal.
That is exciting. I would love to do that. Wouldn't you love to have a group of 6-8 people go up into space together and do a couple circles of the Earth and come back? I mean, now that's an incentive trip.
So if Jeff is listening.
Yeah, we need something with more than 4 or 5 seats.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, no, I think the best things you can do are those that people don't anticipate what's happening. To go somewhere, I mean, that's why, especially in the islands, you can go a lot of different places, and you end up at, oh wow, this is the ranch owner's house, and we're going to go in the big hall and have dinner. Or, of course, in Europe, you've got such beautiful castles and places where you can do that also. I mean, it's just the surprising things. Like I mentioned to you about the flight, we call it Neon in Nature, that goes out by Red Rock. Do that, but then on top, there's a little bluff just slightly above you, and you could have like a harpist playing, or have a strings coming down, playing music while you're sitting there with your group, overlooking and having hors d'oeuvres and champagne while the sun is slowly setting, and get female violinists that come down, in white and black and flowing, and as they come down. I mean, there's so many things you can do.
Fabulous. Moon, I can talk and listen to you for hours. I can't wait to see you very soon at IMEX, at the Mandalay Bay Mansion in Vegas.
Right. Our stand is in the Las Vegas stand, so you will see us there, and I look forward to seeing you and catching up some more.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for sharing all your journey with me today.
Hey, happy Aloha Friday anytime.
Thank you. Moon, thank you so much for sharing your experience with me, and it's fascinating what you're doing. Ladies and gentlemen, if you want to connect with me, please go on LinkedIn or join my Facebook group at www.evenbusinessformula.com/group. And if you enjoyed this conversation and want to share it with your network, please do so. And give us a rating on Spotify and Apple Podcast, or wherever you're listening to this podcast. Thank you. Bye-bye.